What's up, guys? We are back with another Mythic Legions review, taking a look at the big figure, literally, from All-Stars 4. We have got the Troll on deck today, and this is the Forest Troll 2. So this is essentially just, the Ice Troll repainted in Forest Troll colors with a Forest Troll head back there. So if you didn't get the Forest Troll, you can get a regular one here as well, but if you've already got him, you've got that Wild Ice Troll head in there to kind of make a different character. Mine kind of came a little janky in the box. He is very much looking off to the side, but I'm sure everything's fine in there. In typical fashion, it comes in the same kind of box that all the other Trolls have, so humongous. I mean, it's absolutely massive. You've got it there in the big window, Legion's logo down there on the bottom. We've got write-ups on the side for Mythos itself. You've got a write-up on the other side for the Troll, and then the back has got one of the older larger format shots with a huge battle in place, and then you've got a Troll up there in the corner. So good stuff as usual, but let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Forest Troll 2.0 figures. So again, this is kind of a mishmash of Mythic Legion's Troll. So it's the base body Troll done up in the color scheme mostly for the Forest Troll. I'm not so sure that there's meant to be a difference, but my older Troll looks a little bit different for this one. It could just be paint variances, not too sure. And then we've got the head that we saw in the Ice Troll, which on any given day is generally my favorite because I just love these like tusks that stick out of its face. But this is still very much the Troll that we have seen for years now. So this is the 6th Troll that they've released. So we've got Stone, Forest, Ice, and Brontus, and then they had a Stone Troll 2.0, and now we've got our Forest Troll 2.0. So they're really getting their mileage out of this body, and it is a very limited thing when it comes to moving it around. It's a big display piece. It's not exactly the most action-y action figure. A lot of figure, not a lot of action, but still, it's a cool hunk of plastic, no matter how you cut it. So let's see what this guy can do, see how he moves around. Again, still kind of limited. So we've got a head that can sort of pivot a little bit. It's a ball peg, but it doesn't really do a great deal, mostly because this head in particular is so wide in comparison to the body, so it doesn't do a great deal. You can do this, but I mean, that doesn't look right either. So the head is mostly locked down. You can get a little bit, if you sort of pull the head off of the ball a little bit, you can sort of get it half on, and it'll sort of arc a little bit more, if that makes any sense, just to sort of get it moving. We've got arms that will rotate. These are ratcheted, so you do have to watch it, and they're going to be super loud when I move them, so be aware. It's just like that. So they go out about that far, and you have to watch it because they are pretty stiff in some cases. This one's more stiff than this one right now. So there we go. And then we've got rotation at the elbow, and you've got a hinge. It's ratcheted as well, so you can hear it. It's going to be squeaky. And then you've got rotation at the wrist only. There's nothing else. And the arm only goes about that far up. As far as the waist goes, it's just a twist. And it's not even a full twist, so he only goes about that far. The legs on this guy will go backwards and forwards a little bit. They don't do a great deal. You can get it into like a walking pose with this. So about that far forward. Not much, really. Mostly it's got backwards. And then you have no knee, and then you've got, a little bit of rotation, really, at the ankle. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of clunky to show on camera, honestly. It's kind of clunky to show, unless he's, like, sitting in my lap. But, if you've seen one Troll, you've seen them all. They all do the exact same thing. There is no difference to any of them, except for when it comes to the head sculpt. This one is the most limited, but even then, the other ones, it's marginal at best. So it's not like this one's really limited by comparison. It's just a lot bigger. So the sides of its head hit the chest a lot sooner than the other ones, but they still don't do a whole lot. Mostly, you're just going to get this guy sort of wielding his weapon, sort of looking ominous and just terrifying, maybe in the background of your figures, or have him looming over some of your other legions, or whatever it is, really, because this guy's so big he fits into everything. So he's not the most articulated, but He does move some, and frankly, for the price and the amount of plastic here, it's never been much of a sticking point for me that he doesn't move as much as the other figures in the line. And I say that because, of course, you know what's coming next. This figure is, I mean, this whole subline, the troll subline of Mythic Legions is really about the looks. It's about the shelf presence and just the size of these figures. So, of course, I'm going to do size comparisons in a minute. We'll do a Mythic Legions figure, and we'll do some other stuff. But it's all about the overall presence. And this whole thing with the trolls is a lot of parts reuse. I mean, it's mostly parts reuse. And I've never really felt that to be a big deal because they're big monster trolls. So it's not a huge thing, and we do have a series of heads at this point, so we do have some variation, and there's kind of a theme going with each one. So you've got stone, forest, the ice, and then of course Brontus, which lives on his own. But these guys are just fantastic. I mean, not just because they're so huge, but because there is so much detail all over these things. You know, all of this like rocky, craggy stuff all over its back. I mean, it's absolutely covered, riddled with sculpted detail, and then tons of paint all over it. Like I said, this guy does seem to be a little bit different from the first forest troll, and I'm not so sure that that's really like specifically intentional yet or not. I think it may be just like a paint variance thing, like it's, you know, this is the paint now versus that was the paint then. So I'm not so sure, but they very much line up and look really good with each other. But there's just so much going on here. Again, it's a huge, monstrous figure, no pun intended, because it is a big monster troll. But every inch of it is covered in paint. Every inch of it is covered in sculpt. You've got soft goods with the literally furry loincloth. The belt. I've always loved the belt on these guys, how they have this massive gut that actually kind of overlaps their humongous belt buckle. So these big trolls have some semblance of what nudity is, so they of course have to cover up their whatever in the world is going on down there. So you've got your furry loincloth with the belt that holds it all in place, and of course he's so beefy and so thick that it all just like sort of spills over. So you've got that half sculpted belt buckle that is literally half sculpted. It's part of the torso, and then that kind of breaks him up a little bit too. So you go from this really thick, chunky torso to these like really squat legs. So they are really small, and again, they don't really have any articulation to them outside of swiveling at the crotch. But there is a lot of stuff going on here. So, you know, like move this aside and you've got things like all of these sort of spines that come out here on the edge. You've got various color tones and all this like sort of reptilian scales almost in the nooks and crannies of these feet. So there is just so much on this figure to make him stand out, to make him look menacing and evil, that is more than just a big monster troll. You know, there is a lot of plastic here. It's a lot of toy for your money, and I still think these guys are super competitively priced within the realm of Mythic Legions for how much stuff you're getting, but there's just a lot going on when you take into consideration the amount of sculpt covering this thing, the shading on the paint from this sort of like almost minty creamy color all the way to the deep green that goes through the outside of the body, the various hide textures, all the rocky, craggy structures that sort of litter the body. And then when it comes to this particular guy, we've got this just absurd head sculpt, and I love the head sculpt on the Ice Troll. I do think that color scheme like works a little bit better for me personally, just on a preference kind of level. But I mean, this head sculpt is absolutely wild. I love it so much. So you've got these huge monster like tusks, or I guess I don't know if they're supposed to be tusks or antlers or whatever they are, that are sticking out of the side of the head on this thing that are just covered in detail. I mean, every inch of it has got these like folds and various cracks and crevices. The same with the beard that runs down. I think it looks fantastic. And then of course you can see the inside of the mouth, all of those teeth. It's a little bit shinier inside the mouth, so it makes it look like wet and gross. And then he's got this monster slash that goes through the front of the head there to give him this big old scar with his like non-existent, almost skeletal nose. And then you've got those sort of piercing yellow eyes that very much stand out and clash with the foresty greens that he's got. So there's a lot. Like, that's really what it is. There's a lot with this guy, a lot with each troll. So they're all like this. So if you've never seen one, when you get this guy, you will understand exactly what the rest of them have to offer. And yeah, I mean, I'm just a big fan of the way they operate, the way they look, and what they do to your display, because again, they're humongous, so they elevate the rest of what you've got going on in size and sculpt. And then as far as accessories goes, This is where the 2.0 trolls kind of change things up a bit. So with the original trolls, they were just a troll and a weapon, but with the Stone Troll 2.0 and now the Forest Troll 2.0, we're getting alternate heads. So of course, this is the default loadout for the regular Forest Troll, and he came out a long time ago, and we've gotten the Ice Troll head as the default this time around. But for folks out there who maybe missed that guy, and the trolls are super expensive on the aftermarket now, you get the option of using the regular Forest Troll head. So I am really happy that they decided to do this. So if you don't have it, you can get one and just make it a Forest Troll, or you can leave it as the Forest Troll 2.0 with that Ice Troll head, or you can get two and complete the set basically, because there's really not much different about them outside of maybe some shading differences here and there that I'm noticing. But otherwise, this is a really cool head sculpt. I think it's hard to rank them for me. I mean, generally speaking, the Ice Troll and Brontis kind of generally they will occupy the number one spot in a tie, and then it's hard for me to pick over the Forest or the Stone Troll. But this is a really cool, and it seems like a very sort of stereotypical, if that makes any sense, stereotypical troll head sculpt. So big, bulbousy, sort of massive head with the big nose, with the teeth sticking out of the sides, with the big ears, and it really lends itself to this color scheme. Like, I think this loadout right here looks really solid and very much seems like it fits with each other. I think the Ice Troll head is a little bit weird on this body, but at the same time, I love it so much that I'm still going to use it. And then you also get a weapon. So this was the weapon for the Forest Troll, the big, basically like a tree trunk with these metal brackets and this humongous spiked metal ball with this massive dent in it here. And it's got some nice patina on it, so there's a little bit of like a rusty color to bring out some of that sculpt and make it look like it's been worn and used and something that has beaten the hell out of various combatants over the years. So this is the weapon that came with the Forest Troll 1.0. The Ice Troll came with that humongous sword, so they opted to basically give you the Forest Troll again, but with the Ice Troll head in a green color scheme. So you do have a lot of options with this, guys, and in terms of how you want to display them. Well, not a lot, but you get enough to make two distinct and very unique looking trolls. If you missed the Forest Troll the first time around, now you got him. But if you already have him, you can have another one, or you can go full on 2.0 and use this head instead. And then as far as size comparisons go, we're going to run through a few different things just to give you an idea. The first of which, we'll use another Legions figure as our base. And so here he is with one that's slightly larger than average. So here he is with our Dark Lord Arethyr. I mean, you can see that even with his, crazy fire hair, that only comes up to the head, and it doesn't even account for anything when it comes to the overall size, girth, beefiness of this thing. So he is absolutely, just dwarfed by him, no doubt about it. Here he is with Mezco, so the most recent, latest, and greatest. So you've got Conan the Barbarian, who is seemingly outmatched, but we all know that Conan will best our troll, no doubt about it. And we've got a Mythic, or not a Mythic Legion, a Marvel Legend. So here he is with Star-Lord T'Challa from the What If wave. Here he is with a Power Rangers Lightning Collection Finster. So a smaller figure. I say small when everything's going to be small. And then how about a more Mythic Legions-esque style figure in the Motu Classics He-Man. So even then, he doesn't even come up to his pecs area. So this guy is humongous. He's like 11 inches tall roughly, and then I don't know, like 8 inches wide or 9 inches wide, something like that, from arm to arm. So there's a lot of figure here. He is going to take up a lot of space, no doubt about it. So all the trolls, especially if you've got them all, do command a bit of a footprint on your display, but it does add a humongous amount of shelf presence, and it's definitely going to draw the eye of anybody that takes a look in its direction. So yeah, I really like these guys. I know the trolls aren't necessarily for everybody, specifically because they're so big and they are expensive. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush on that. They are expensive toys, but at the same time, I still think very much that you're getting a lot of bang for your buck when it comes to these particular figures because they're so big. They aren't nearly as articulated as pretty much anything else that you probably collect, but they make up for all of that in sculpt paint, detail, and most of all size. Like I said, they are going to be a huge focal point for your collection. For any point that you put them on your shelf, they are going to kind of draw the focus. Because they are big, they're going to tower over just about everything that you have, especially if you're a big Legions collector. They're going to tower over every other Legions that you have, and pretty much anything else that you have as well. And at this point, I have 6 of these things, and that sounds ridiculous, but I am so happy to add another one because it's cool to just beef up the ranks of these guys in addition to everything else. So that's going to do it for this look at the Mythic Legions All-Stars 4 Forest Troll 2.0. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.